Alright, what's up guys? Gonna be trying out something new today. So we have to do valve springs on this K-series head. And one of my buddies was telling me about a tool. I've never used it, so I'm not saying it's new or anything like that, but this is a Blue Point, basically valve spring tool, and I know about knocking them out is quick and easy, but getting them back in with this is going to be interesting. So to knock them out, first thing I always do, just for ease, is pull all the LMAs out. And the K-series LMAs are all springs, not like B-series where they're a hydraulic style spring-loaded LMA. So the first thing we really need to do is just getting a rag up under here, under the valves, to catch the valves. And then the idea is you take this, and then we just, I've never used this, so I don't know. Okay, have to smack it a few times, but so as we can see, it keeps the keepers in there. So let's find a screwdriver here that we can pop these out. It's magnetic, so it just retains everything when you pop it off. And we're not doing anything with the valves. We're literally just popping off the springs and the retainers and using new ones. So you can see we got keepers, and then K-series have just a real basic spring. So let's see if we can get this next one. You have to smack it pretty hard. So one hit, we got our retainer off, dig our keepers out. So that's kind of cool. Definitely nicer than just a socket. Sometimes these things just go flying. Excuse me. So that's yeah, it's not too shabby. We're not doing any of the valve stem seals. The owner just wanted, just springs, and I don't have the springs here, so gotta go up and grab those. Alright, so that out of the way. So in this car, you can see we are doing Ferrea retainers. Well, poop, we are gonna have to do valve stem seals, because to get these are the seats for the springs, and to do the springs, oh, and we are doing locks. Look at that, we are doing everything. So what has to happen is we have to pull the valve stem seals off to get to the factory seats, and these go in, spring, retainer, new locks. So let's go. So what this does is it goes in here, and we try and get that to spin, and just like that, valve stem seals come off. I'll look around, I might. So valve stem seal. So this is just kind of that easy. And oh, of course I don't have a magnet in here. So this shows how unprepared I am. Alright, so we got it here. We got our valve stem seals. We gotta use get everything cleaned out. Usually try to keep the rag underneath. It helps prevent the valves from falling out. We'll grab another rag. Get everything cleaned out, wiped up. 2 new seats. Those get dropped in. You can see they have a relief for the valve seal to go in. So then we open these up.
See those oil pump gears. Pretty sure that's an Evo. 7-volt / Evo style.
Did you find his tensioner?
Yeah, it's tensioner, isn't it? It's just there's oil pump gears in here, which look like they're helical, which is Evo. Yeah, we got Evo oil pump gears.
So they won't work?
This is D1745882. Well, it's got gears in it. It should have straight cuts in it. Helical's angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the early ones, that comes up as a 6-volt oil pump gear. But it also comes up as an Evo 89, which is helical. So I don't think they make straight cuts anymore.
Right. So I seem to remember something about them being revised to
this is
all
gotta
the
be
same.
the revised one. But that pump, straight cuts better now. Yeah, because it doesn't side load them as much. Either way, it either has straight cuts or it has these. There's no point in pulling it off with those in. I'm pretty sure I remember them being straight cuts though. It's tight.
Yeah, I don't think this tool is going to work for these. That wasn't even close.
Too stiff.
Yeah.
So I'll put this back in his bag. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's not even close. Like, it's not even, like, detinting the spring at all.
Really?
Like, these are so stiff. Like,
They duals? Yeah.
yeah. They're only 85 pounds, though.
You have to give her the sauce.
Yeah, there ain't no way.
Let's just use the elbow on it, or the fucking hammer on his elbow while he's putting pressure on there.
No, we gotta use my tool.
Yeah.
A sweet tool.
Did you make a tool?
Yeah. Not specific.
Oh, is that the one with the spark plug socket on it?
So why this thing is a good idea, it just ain't working for these.
That it is, sir.
Oh, wait a minute. I forgot. I maybe...
Moving the valve.
Yeah, the valve's down pretty far. I forgot about that.
You just gotta give her the fucking sauce. There's no way to do it without moving the valve too, because it's gonna push up.
What'd you do on the GTR?
This. And it took fucking forever. It wasn't forever, but it was some time.
So, that's not really gonna...
Yeah.
I bet these springs it would probably be fine, but these are just so stiff.
Probably just knock out that whole side. Or do you want to just do... knock those out real quick and then down the line?
Yeah, we'll just get these done, and then I'll just get everything out and everything cleaned up so we don't have to keep swapping back and forth. We can just blow through it with that, so... You good? Keep going. Okay.
Nope.
There you go. Now that we've kind of got a system down, like that's not terrible.
Yeah, it's easier than the Evos, I think, because they're so far, like so open.
So yeah.
They're not like down inside of the head.
Keep going. Okay. Boom. Just like
That's
that.
2 less than 60 seconds.
Dude, see, everybody want to talk crap about my little tool I made, but it works.
We're looking at is, you've seen this car in a bunch of other videos. We've been trying to source parts, and troubleshooting's been just nothing but a nightmare on this thing. It's been in a couple of videos. It's super weird. What is happening is, like, when the car would idle and normally idle fine and everything, and it would go into VTEC, and as soon as it'd go into VTEC, it was essentially dropping a cylinder. And it was VTEC related because you could turn VTEC off and it wouldn't drop a cylinder or anything like that. So we've been all through the head. We've placed rails, rockers, hunting down rockers, and parts for VTEC head has been nothing but a nightmare. A lot of flakes on eBay, things like that. So yeah, so essentially what we ended up doing was picking up a complete B20 VTEC with a B16 head on it for a really good price, with the basic intent that we were going to take the head and just put it on this car. So upon pulling the head, I don't know if you'll really be able to see it. So this motor's supposedly built, the deck surface on this thing is horrendous. We did notice that it looks like we haven't been beating on it. We've just been moving it in and out. It looks like it's starting to mix oil and coolant, which is not typical, but it's still running. So we pulled the head off to basically just swap the heads. We noticed that, man, it's just, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on video or not. This surface is really, really bad. It looks like someone used the roll lock, like a really heavy grit, like Scotch-Brite pad, and for lack of a better term, they destroyed the top of this deck. The surface is really in pretty bad shape. So that would explain why there's some leakage. But something else we also figured out is, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Get this. So there is a very, very deep groove about where the wrist pin would be, and these are supposed to be aftermarket rods with stock pistons. The stock rods are a press fit, and with aftermarket rods they're loose, and you use retaining clips. So if I had to guess, my guess would be that somebody, whoever assembled this, didn't put a retaining clip or didn't set it up with, you know, a roll lock style for the wrist pin, and the wrist pin has worked its way over to the edge of this cylinder. There is a very noticeable, super deep groove in this cylinder wall. So at this point, I'm gonna have to wait to get back in contact with the customer. This is, December 23rd, I believe. So I don't want to ruin anybody's Christmas by getting a hold of anybody with an issue like this. I know the owner of the car. I mean, this thing's got, a couple hundred, like 400 miles on it, 500 miles on it maybe, and he just had this whole motor gone through. We found so much stuff that has been wrong with this thing. The oil pump was reused, had super low oil pressure. We put a new oil pump on it, and it's just, this is one of those slippery slopes that we're trying to fix things as we go, but this is the order that you go in. And as we keep going in order, we keep moving on to the next thing and the next thing, and it just getting deeper and deeper. So I'm not sure what we're gonna do about this. It's just really crappy. This is one of the worst deck surfaces I've ever seen. So, I mean, it's really bad. Like, like I said, I don't know if it's even gonna show up on camera, but it's like super pitted, super grooved. The grooves are super deep. We have a couple of blocks from Benson. I think I can take you in. I think I may still have one without a head on it. Yeah, it's really bad. So that's the status on this thing. Just a bummer. So we'll address that, and then, all right, guys. Sorry if this video's been a little all over the place. If everything goes together the way I think it's going to, it's going to be kind of a conglomeration of stuff. You saw us originally start with this head, putting the Ferrea stuff in it. Obviously, you can see the heads on the block now. We're waiting on a few things to get here. This is a military guy, and he took the time off to go home, so he said when he gets back he'll have the oil pump and everything ready for this. In this video you should have seen me assembling this, starting from the oil pump and going up. There's just so many videos of assembling motors and stuff like that. We just didn't get too in-depth in filming. You can see the finished product is here. This is pretty much ready to drop in. We did have an issue. The guy that we built the motor for thought he got a good deal on a clutch, I believe maybe Black Friday, and it was a good deal. So what, he bought the clutch and then brought it here, and when we went to install the clutch, we found out it was for a D series, so obviously that's not going to work. So new clutch is on the way. Like I said, this is we're waiting on some parts. This is Levi's, 1,000 horsepower capable K series. So we've got a lot of work to do on this. Just trying to get everything squeezed in, and this is a much bigger project that's done over a much longer period of time. So working on this. This is Sean's 4G for his 1G DSM. I know we have a lot of Evo and DSM guys out there, so this is a really cool project that we're happy to be a part of. Some of these things, just do take some time. Not everybody has the kind of budget that you can just walk into a shop and plop down 10, 15, 20 grand or whatever for these pretty in-depth builds. So once we do have an established relationship with a few guys, we do have projects like this. So, you can see this thing's going to be pretty intense with the, he's got the Kegley trigger and everything's new, all new hardware. Cool thing that I'm excited about on this is we're going to be doing like a trigger system like they do on the Hondas, where it's got the trigger in the front. We're going to be using the back right here for a cam angle sensor, rather than using these kind of crappy 1G ones, or even going to the 2G that seem to have failures often. So we kind of got that all set up, and we're going to be doing something more on that. This car is obviously going to be on standalone, so you can't really run that with, DSM link or anything like that, but going to be a cool project. This is the K20 for the blue EM1 that you've seen in a couple other videos. If you watch our videos, you know we have an EM1 that's got a K-swap that has been kind of an ongoing project, working around our schedule and budget constraints and a few little things like that. That car originally has like a K20 A3 in it, which is not obviously a very exciting motor. And for what the guy that owns it, for what his goals are, it was just a matter of kind of realizing that that's not the motor, no matter what we do to it. And, you know, just kind of got him on board with going like a K24. This is essentially the same motor that we did in our ES project. So it's going to be a K24. We're doing SuperTech valve springs and retainers, Type R cams. We do have a Type S oil pump on the way, so we'll be able to kind of rev this thing out. So as you can see, things in the engine room have gotten pretty dicey, as we don't usually have a ton of motors in here. I mean, you know, usually 1 or 2 assembled a month or something like that. And over the last, you know, month, I mean, obviously that's a little bit longer of a process. This one's been here for a little bit, but that one and this one, and then there's another one out in the shop that we're dealing with. So, you know, you can see we're digging deep into these things. Another cool project is this is Brian's 4G head, not Evo style, DSM style. This is going to be used in his Mighty Max, and we're trying to do some configuration of Evo cams into this, into the early style. So that's another project. So yeah, as you can see, things are crazy here, and we're definitely busy for this time of year, busier than we've probably ever been by a substantial amount. Normally around Christmas time, we can, you know, take 3 or 4 days off, no big deal. This is the day after Christmas. I was going to try and put a video up, you know, edit one and put it up over Christmas, but sometimes you just got to get away. So shooting this to try and fill in some footage. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with things. Like I said, things here have just gotten crazy and exploded, so we're working through it. Something that you have to kind of bear with us on is when we do a lot of work here, something that we're trying to become familiar with is monetization and things like that. So when we're filming, you know, I work better with music, so we try to have music playing. The thing with YouTube is you can't have music playing because it's copyrighted, and all these guys want their money for their music and stuff like that. So you know, we just have to work within the constraints of what YouTube is allowing us to do. So that's part of our thing, is we just come in, we put on our gloves and start working, and we have the music, and then by the time we realize it, we don't have a camera going, or if we do, the music's been playing and no one wants to just hear music or nothing, or whatever the case may be. So a lot of times we drop the ball on that. So we're working around that as well, trying to figure that out. So yeah, I kind of believe that's about where we're at. I think I'm going to put in coming up, when we did have the transmission out of our ES, Project ES that we sold. It did have a transmission issue. It stripped the teeth off of second gear. So what we did was we pulled the motor out, tore it apart. I managed to round up a second gear, reassembled it, and then I put the tranny back in. And fortunately, as I did have the GoPro on in time lapse when I was putting the tranny back in, so I'll probably throw that in right now, and you'll be able to watch me do that. And then that's probably going to be the end of the video. So yeah, that's where we're at. Everyone, hopefully this conglomeration of a video isn't too hard to follow and keep track of, and you just keep tuning in, and we'll keep bringing you stuff. So yeah, I guess we'll get to installing a transmission into a Honda Civic. just got the tranny in. Everything's buttoned up, went really quick. I'm gonna hop in and just get fluid worked in, row through the gears a little bit, make sure no immediate grinds or pop outs or anything like that. We did put this tranny together out of a lot of just like random stuff laying around. When we first got the tranny from a buddy, it was pretty much complete. Everything was there. It just had a second gear grind, and it would pop out. So I had another second gear from another good tranny. So we pulled this out, pull it apart, put second gear in. It's been fine. Obviously knocked the teeth off a second gear. So we pulled this thing completely apart, cleaned everything pretty spotless, really nice, and everything looked really good. So I guess we'll hop in it now and make sure it goes through all the gears. And if not, I guess we're pulling it back out. Okay, so far that's good. So have to get a lot of fluid worked into it. Everything was dry, so just second, third, fourth, fifth. First, went a little better. When things are dry, they're gonna be a little notchy. Stop it. Reverse. No problem. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Alright, everything seems to be good, so the only thing I really have left to do is fight with one of the mounts. This thing's solid mounted, so everything has to be perfectly lined up. And on the rear bracket, the top bolt that isn't lined up, so it's just gonna take me a minute to get everything loosened up, get all the bolts back in it. So overall, I would say that's successful. I really wanted to film us assembling the transmission and going through all the gears and everything, but we did it last night and got a really late start on it from working on customer stuff. So I was just wanted to thrash, and it just, sometimes I'm oblivious to the camera thing and just got to it. And then by the time I realized I didn't have a camera on or going or anything, it was too late. So, but anyways, we built the tranny. Like I said, we used some stuff that probably is questionable, but that's what we do, and everything seems to work out. So yeah, the last bolt I got to deal with is this one right here, so I got to loosen up a few things and get the motor to settle with the solid mounts, and we'll get that bolt in, intake back on, and it's done. So yeah, good times.